Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name's Eric and I am Secretary at Golborne Miners, and it's lovely to be here at this lovely school of yours. And the gentleman at the end here is Brian Rawsthorne. He was an electrician and he was involved in the mining explosion at Golborne Colliery on the 18th of March 1979, where 10 men were killed. 3 outright, 7 later died in hospital. It affected us all, so much so we created the Golborne Miners to remember the 10 lads and their families, because it affected them as well.
Right, my name's Brian Rawsthorne. 1979, there was an explosion at Golborne Colliery, of which 10 people died. 10 died and 1 survived. I'm the one that survived. Okay? I was badly burnt. 56% of my body's burnt. If you have a look at my hands, my ears, my arm, what burns all over my body, legs, body, everywhere. I ended up by default working down the pit that day. I was an apprentice electrician. I started in 1975. I was due to come out of my time in the August of 79, and they were doing exams on the winding gears. And I hadn't done the exams on the winding gears in my 3.5 years as an apprentice. And they only did them twice a year. So they were doing the exams this weekend, so I asked the engineers if I could work. Anyway, eventually they said yes, I could work. So on the Saturday I went in, and I'm working on the surface because they're doing the electrical trips. As the cage is down, it flicks a trip and stops, etc., etc. So we're doing all the winding exams. So that was on the Saturday. Sunday I go to work. I didn't get my lamp again because I'm working on the other shaft. And the engineer comes to me and he said, there's 2 electricians not turned in work. So you're going to have to go down the pit. They're calling an electrician from home. Well, there's 2 significances there. I shouldn't be down the pit. And the electrician coming from home shouldn't even be in work. So we go down the pit. We was working on some fans. To cut a long story short, working on some fans. They'd broken down the day before, so they'd been off for 24 hours. There'd been a massive build-up of gas in the vicinity, and they'd started filtering it out, but hadn't got it all out. And when the mixture of gas comes with the air, and it's the right mixture, 4% as Eric said, and there's a spark, it causes an explosion, and it will cause severe damage. So we're working on this on these switch gear behind us, and the electrician's here with a cable. So you're the electrician, I'm the apprentice. So the electrician's got a cable attached to this switch gear. The electrician gave me the cable to hold while he tested it. Tested the cable, because there was a fault on the panel behind us, mine blew up.
The people that were further in the mine, they heard a thud, but Eric was at the pit bottom and he could see he'd heard the thud, and then there was a load of dust, and sometimes they said the fire would follow the dust, but on that particular day it didn't. But everyone knew that there was something wrong because of the noise and all that the dust. Something had gone seriously wrong.
The electrician died instantly. Never made it up the pit. I'm less than a metre off him. In the old days, I'm less than a yard off him. So I'm less than a metre off the electrician. He died, I didn't. Why? I don't know. But when I came round, I was hanging up in the air, 8 foot up in the air over some pipes. My boots had been blown off. My belt that Eric had on had come off. The battery on the belt had cracked, and it's like a car battery. It carries acid, the acid had gone on my backside and burnt me severely. So from there, they came down and rescued us. There was 11 of us down there, 3 died instantly, 8 got took to hospital, 7 more died in hospital. I'm the only one survived. Within 2 weeks of going into hospital, the last one died. So I ended up in Withington Hospital, 18th of March 1979. I spent 12 weeks in Withington Hospital. I came out in June. I had 23 operations initially on my burns. Every time they had to change me dressings, they had to put me to sleep because I was in that much pain. So I ended up in Billinge Hospital, Withington Hospital, went back in. Now this is where the explosion takes a twist for me. On one hand, I lost 10 friends in an explosion. On the other hand, when I went to Withington Hospital the second time, I met a nurse who I married. We've been married 40 years, just gone, June, 12th of June, just gone. And I've got, from the explosion, lost 10 friends, devastated family, and it's the twist takes, I've got a wife, 2 children and 3 grandchildren. So for me, the explosion's a double-edged sword, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Sadness, happiness. But even with the people that's died, the relatives, I have happiness with them because we get on as a group. So I'm going to finish in a minute. Apart from, there was one question on the community, and Eric's mentioned the community, what we do with this march and everything. Now, I was involved in the explosion in '79, and people say to me, if I started over again, would I go back down the mine? Even though I've got 50% of my body burnt, 30-odd operations later, would I go back down the mine? The answer is yes. And the reason being is because of the camaraderie and the community that we had within the mining industry in Golborne at that time. It used to be absolutely superb. One of the questions was, did we have a club? No, we didn't have a club. We had about 20 clubs. Every pub, every Labour club, Conservative club even, Nailers club, we used to all go in the different places and have drinks with each other. So that was our community spread all over Golborne. So every 5 years now, that community comes together and we remember the people that died, but we have a celebration of their lives. Okay.
And we used to undress, put a towel round us, and then we'd make our way to the dirty side where our work clothes like these and other underclothes was on the dirty side. And in the dirty side, you used to put your overalls on like this and your helmet like this, because you needed an helmet because obviously of roof falls. But now I think it's standard in all industry that you wear a helmet to protect your head. You'd go to the lamp room, and in the lamp room is where your lamps are. You needed a lamp because it's pitch black on coalface. There's no lights whatsoever. I tell many children, you could switch all lights off what there is down a pit. You could put your hand in front of you and you couldn't see it because it's so black. So obviously you had, in the main tunnel, you had lighting, but on the coal face, you had your battery. So you put your battery on, and you're chatting while you're at it with your mates, and pick up your tallies. I forgot to bring the tallies today. That was an order of, you had order of recognising you, who you are. It was used to clock you in kind of thing at pit. And there was an aluminium one and a brass one. So you get to the what they call pit bank, give your tallies in, your aluminium one, and keep your brass one on you. You have like a little key ring thing, and you put it on. You go down.
The shaft was 600 metres deep. So you've all been to Blackpool, yeah, seen Blackpool Tower. So imagine 4 Blackpool towers stacked on top of each other. That was the depth of that shaft, what used to go down in the cage.
And at the pit bottom, there's what you call a man rider. And that is like a miniature railway. I usually look after underground locomotives. And there's carriages, and that would take you in by the maximum 2 miles, some are 3 miles really.
Well, when you went down, as Eric said, in the shaft, you used to go down in the cage 600 metres, and then you'd get on a man rider, and you'd ride in on the man rider for about 2 miles, roughly about 2 miles, and then from that then you was walking to the tunnels, through the tunnels to the coal face. A man rider, well, it was a locomotive, like you've got a train on the surface, and there was carriages, and you used to sit in the carriages. It was basically a less luxuriant version than a train, what you'd catch to Manchester or wherever. And it was called a man rider. And about 2 miles you used to travel on that, and then you used to have to get off and walk about another mile, something like that.
So once you're off the man rider, you start walking then, and you walk until you come to coal face. Not very pleasant really. And when you get to coal face, I'll give you an example what it will like. That's the coal face. It's pretty treacherous, don't it? You've got tons and tons above you of rock. And in between, you've got the coal face, which is on that side. These supports here are hydraulic shocks, and they keep the roof above you that way. If you didn't have them, it'd be on top of you. And this, as you can see, this man's on his knees, and that's how it depends. The height of a coal face varied from pit to pit. The first coal face I ever went on was probably about that high, if it were that. So you're like on your hands and knees, and you know, you crawl up, and you have to lift things, and you're on your hands and knees. So it's quite strenuous as well.
In the tunnels you could stand up. The tunnels were about 14 foot wide by about 12 foot. But on the coal face, it depended on the size of the coal seam, but some were only like that. So on the coal face, brothers were taller than me. So if it was like that, you were literally on your hands and knees crawling. Yeah.
So some faces are as tall as that door, to the depth of that door. Some are more, but it varies depending on the area you're working in, the part of the country where you was working in, and very dusty, and also very dangerous because there's always methane present. Methane is an explosible gas, and if there's a spark, that can ignite the gas anytime, anywhere, and it did so in 1979.